the science, but I want to give you a little bit of the history. In 1992, we started working up here under a National Science Foundation funded project called the Land Margin Project. And we very quickly realized driving back and forth was impossible, especially with Boston traffic. So we found out that the Essex County Greenbelt had a house that they wanted to use for research purposes. So Ed Becker, who's the director, got together with Chuck, and we started renting a house from them right on the Raleigh River, which we still use to this day. So that provided us with some dock space and some very cozy living accommodations for 8 people in 2 bedrooms. That works well for us, except that we have more than 8 people. And some of those 8 people we found also snore quite loudly. So we started looking around for a way to sort of expand our presence here. In about 1998, we were refunded under the Long-Term Ecological Research Project program, so we knew we were probably going to be in the area for quite some time. It was not until about 2003 that the MDL purchased the Marshview property that's here. So which consisted of the farmhouse over there and this barn, and where you were standing was an old fruit stand. And again, the facility was working pretty well for us in terms of at least providing a lot more housing, but the barn itself was not usable for research. So most of the research was carried out either in a little tiny part of the basement or outside. And a lot of the students ended up working under tents, or just under shade covers, or just working outside, sorting fish and doing everything they needed to do. Wasn't an optimum situation. It somewhat limited what they could do, and it really meant that a lot of the work required that people come up here, work really fast, and then drive back down to Woods Hole to do what they needed to do. I think for me, a low point came when I got a call from we're also a mosquito monitoring station, and they told me our traps were filled with mosquitoes and they all had West Nile disease. So ever since we purchased the property, there was the hope that we would be able to improve it and make some lab space and do some other renovations. Linda Deegan got a small planning grant from NSF, and we had some architectural plans drawn for what was probably more than we needed. It included a fairly large conference facility. But shortly afterwards, Fish and Wildlife ended up building their conference facility, or their big auditorium, so that wasn't needed. But we still desperately needed the lab, and we still had to have a place for people to be